Today we have with us Preeti Das ma'am, the Additional Director of United World School of Liberal Arts and Mass Communication at Karnavati University. Welcome to the College Dunia portal.
Hi, Haim. How are you?
Very good, ma'am. How are you?
Good. Going on.
Yeah. So, ma'am, beginning with the interview, my first question to you is that what is your philosophy on leadership and how would you like to describe your leadership style?
Wow. I personally think that they cannot be a philosophy on leadership, because that's something that people somehow write a lot of books about and get away with it. But I think if there's one thing about leadership, I always think is the word collective. If you're together with people, whether you're a leader or anybody or an opinion maker, it is just very useful to be in a collective. And I say work in a team. And team doesn't mean only my colleagues. When I say team, I believe in my students also as being part of my team. So I think a leadership style or mantra, which is very simple, is there never is an I, there always is an us. Because together, if we have to achieve something, it is so much easier and it's so much fun to do it together. So I believe in that. I completely believe in that,
Absolutely. Very well said, ma'am. Moving on, my next question is that you have held several key positions at educational institutes throughout your professional career. So please walk us through your journey so far and what are the key factors that are keeping you connected to the education sector?
So, in fact, I'll be very honest with you, and because this is a very upfront interview, especially for the youngsters, I never thought I'm going to be into education because I was always a very naughty student. While I was very inquisitive and I loved studies more for knowledge, not for marks. But I was always the kind who used to be punished, who used to be standing out of class, constantly talking, trying to make friends. So for me, not even once, and I disliked my teachers. I'll be honest, till I came to college, I was scared of them. And I was like, maybe education or mera to koi lena dena nahi. There can't be no connection. But with age, I realized I got into journalism. I have done my master's in television studies from the Manipal Institute of Communication. I have also done a little bit of my FPM and I stopped midway from MITA, Ahmedabad. And for me, it was first journalism. My first love has been journalism. So I think I have done immense amount of field work. I have around 15 years of work only as journalism. I have about 20 years of total work experience. But journalism is something which taught me so much, that I then realized that with time, it is important to start telling what I have learned to people, and I started my teaching with my own college first, St. Xavier's, Ahmedabad. Then I went on to teaching at CEPT University. I have taught for about 2 years at PTPU, and then I said, okay, most of these places I was a visiting faculty and I used to enjoy teaching, connecting with the youngsters, also realizing one thing that now the generation is such that they also want people with a lot of hands-on experience. So if you're looking at older theories, older concepts, which may not make sense in today's world, you still need to understand it to rip it apart. Also you need to bring in a lot of experience to say, ye galat kyun hai? So for me, it was very important to start realizing that these young people need to add confusion. And that's something I always say, I am not there to teach. I am there to add confusion to you people. And if I'm able to confuse you and make you curious, as a college student, I have done my bit. मुझे ये नहीं कहना है तुमको कि this is the theory and this is how you learn it. No. If this is conflicting with what you're learning in society at home, then I am very happy with it. So for me, I have worked with a lot of brands. I was with Aaj Tak and Headlines Today. I was with the Indian Express. I was with the DNA. I have got a national and an international award for working exhaustively on gang rape survivors and documenting their stories as a journalist. I was a market researcher for a long time and I've worked on brands like TBS, Fast Track, Kingfisher. आजकल ये brand बोलने में भी थोड़ा सा डर लगता है. And a lot of other things in terms of understanding how a certain product can be sold or introduced in the market, So meeting people, talking to them, asking them कि आप ये particular brand क्यों use करते हो versus this. I have also worked in Radio Mirchi. I was a radio jock for about a year and a half, hosting a show called Purani Jeans in Ahmedabad. I was a producer for a radio station called My FM. And I also was heading the tsunami program. I don't know how many of you remember, but 2008 में एक बहुत बड़ा tsunami हुआ था with the epicenter in Nagapattinam, Tamil Nadu. I was heading it for an international organization called ActionAid International with affiliations with the United Nations. So I was heading it for India, and I also did a lot of chunks of work in Sri Lanka under the same program. So this is like a quick, 1 second or 2 second kind of a take through my career. But I feel it's very important to sort of, at one point in time, sabko padhana chahiye. Everyone has to be making sure that your contribution, your learning is shared with the younger generation. So that's when I took up. And with Karnavati University, it's been about 2 years now as the additional director for the Department of Liberal Arts and Mass Communication. And it's been a wonderful journey. It's just been a very, very positive and a very energetic journey for me with the students.
Absolutely, that's quite an impressive and exquisite journey you've had throughout. So, ma'am, with your personal teaching experience, I would like to know that the education systems in India and the foreign countries are structured very differently. So, in your personal opinion, what can be an inbound student gain from students studying here at Karnavati University?
Sorry, you could repeat that question. Him thoda sa cut gaya. Sorry, could we take it again, this question?
Sure. So, ma'am, in your personal opinion, the education systems in India and foreign countries are structured very differently. So, in your opinion, what can be an inbound student gain to the students studying here at Karnavati University?
So, for our department, I can safely say that we are trying to, I'm not saying that we are learning a lot, because we are the youngest department in Karnavati University. The 5 others, and that has always worked in our advantage. And when I say young, I also mean in terms of the age of the staff to everything. Also being, we are allowed to get away with a lot of experiments. What we do as a department, and it's a policy, is that we are very open. Because it is liberal arts and mass communication, we are multidisciplinary, so which means a student who wants to learn history, I'm just giving an example, can also say that I want to take my minor in a paper called psychology, and understand maybe the psychology of maybe trolls. I don't know, just So the idea is here we are trying not to be rigid. My concern is when I was a student in college, these were the papers of economics, and I couldn't go beyond economics. I wasn't allowed to think beyond economics unless I'm doing something outside of my college, So here, what we are doing at the United World School of Liberal Arts and Mass Comm is to provide this complete environment, because we are very clear, we don't want to produce rats for a rat race. We want to produce thinkers. So even if you're doing ad PR, even if you're doing, say, filmmaking, you cannot be the same sort of student thinking with the same idea. So for us, it's very clear. We want to allow people to think, to question. So what we're doing is trying to change the philosophy, because, in India, it is always like, nahi, ye rato or ye karo, it's just a degree. For us, it is more of an attitude, it's something that makes you a better person. So therefore, we combine things like performing arts with things like international relationships, Performing arts is something very important. I'm a performer myself, and I believe that the stage, it's not for you to become an actor, but what performing art does to you as a person in terms of opening up, making you confident about asking things, being aware of your body, is something very, very needed, in today's generation, and working as a team. That's something. So we bring in the craziest things and put them together and say, take it and see if you can do something out of these combinations, So somewhere that's what, and that freedom, that space. Also as a department, we're very open with saying, okay, we don't want routine assignments. We can do dissertations in the form of short films. So we're very open with even students' ideas, because we've realized 2 things. Everyone is going digital, and we can't keep saying that traditional education ke naam pe hum kuch aisa de that the students are uneasy with, the students are confused with. So for us, we are generally on our toes to adapt to anything which is new and sort of present things in that way.
We don't want to manufacture.
That's something we're striving.
Right. We're not in the business of manufacturing robots. So I guess that's quite an innovative approach.
No, absolutely, because that's what happens. Every student is thinking the same, and we don't therefore have thinkers. I mean, look at the way we are heading. Everyone believes in what people are saying. No one wants to think critically, or even have an argument or a discussion or a debate,
Correct. Right.
So we want that culture. We want people to understand. We want people to read, write, and communicate. So
Right.
we stress on things like that.
So, ma'am, since you're talking about students, any insights into how the university could be more welcoming to students from different economic backgrounds or maybe different races?
So we already, in fact, Karnavati has around 4,000 students from all over all over India for sure, but we do have a lot of them coming in from the Middle East, a few coming in from other European countries. But I think a university, when we teach about education, a university is always a beautiful confluence of ideas. So at no point, I believe a way to welcome students and to keep them is also to give them a freedom of speech, a freedom of expression, where students take things in their hands, where they are not. So I believe, and I think our whole team believes in not having a power equation between teachers and students. Often people say, but students will not take you seriously then. But these are people who I think if they can cast vote, they can definitely decide a lot of other things for their own good,
Right.
So we think a way to make them welcome and make them feel a part of the family is also allowing them to take key decisions. If it's wrong, while we scold them, we also stand by them to cover up for them, So having that openness, having that, where a child can say without fear that I don't like this particular paper, can we look at it together and rework it? Or a child can celebrate a festival which talks about alternate sexuality and not get into trouble. So for us, it's providing a very open canvas to the students and saying, here it is, these are 3 years or 4 years of your life, where whether you like it or not are going to be your foundation. So while you have fun, use it for whatever you want to, that maybe tomorrow in the industry you won't be able to. Because as someone who went in the television industry early in life, I realized that whatever I've learned, I had to unlearn it. Because you learn so many ethics and rules, but when you're on the ground, you see everybody around you breaking those rules. And you're like, "Arey yaar, meri story chhoot gayi yaar, because I was trying to follow the rules. So how do I keep my ethics in balance?"
Right.
So these are things that we believe in. While we have books, we have academic rigor, we also think that there's a lot of practicality of life that students need to understand, So that's how we make them feel welcome. We also have a lot of informal sessions. In fact, a lot of our classes, I just am very, like most teachers are angry in the current situation. We're not able to meet our students, look at them in the eye, have fun, scold them. But we've had sessions only in our chai ka dukans. We've had sessions, which are in the lawns for hours together, talking about politics, talking about fascism. So for us, it's also creating environment and spaces which are informal, yet have that academic rigor. So we work, we ensure that students, in fact, even in the academic council, we try having a lot of students who will tell us what we can do next. So we involve them and we tell them it's your responsibility. So
Right.
we're trying to sort of also make sure we have lesser work. Yeah.
Correct. So, ma'am, as you mentioned about the session, and since you have a quite interesting journey so far, so I would like to know, when you first came to Karnavati University, what was your vision towards the university? Has it evolved over time, and how far along implementing that vision are you?
So for the department specifically, our vision is actually more to sort of have, more flexibility in terms of subjects. We're trying to make it interdisciplinary in a way that we also want sciences with us. So for example, right now we are trying to introduce, not immediately, but soon we would love to do a combination of mathematics and psychology. Which is mathematics, for a lack of a better word, HAME is considered a pure science,
Right.
So maybe that with humanities. So, when I came to this place, to Karnavati University, as I said, the department was very new. So for us, initially, it was setting a pace, to keep a pace ready, to also understand that where all we can be flexible with every academic year, with every new batch. So our first batch, HAME, graduated last year. So we're as young as that, So
Okay.
for us right now, while we are continuing with the vision, we don't believe in having a very corporatized vision statement. Okay, ye vision hai and we have to stick to it no matter what. So in fact, as I said, a lot of it keeps changing with students, with even people's preferences changing. Like for the last 1.5 years, we are seeing a mad rush towards psychology. And we are seeing a psychology combination with the media. It's very interesting because now if you want people to comment about SSR, about mental health, putting it all together with the media playing its game, diverting, at least we have people who know how to take a stand on such topics, who understand what is right versus wrong. So, as we see people and what they're demanding, we keep changing our idea about the year, about course curriculum. Of course, keeping the UGC mandate in mind and keeping all the rules. We're also allowed that kind of a maneuverability between one subject to another. So that is something we strive to do. And as I say, when I say the vision changing, I am seeing this new tsunami of students coming in who are now looking at only the digital space as a career.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say digital space, I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about films, advertising, content, podcasting, name it, So now we're also trying to align it with the demand by saying, okay, if digital is where people are really, really heading, can we also now propose, other than the regular courses, very sharp short-term courses on quick digital filmmaking, So we adapt according to what we see people really wanting to do. So like we have papers on digital culture, we make digital law and hacking compulsory for people to understand ethical hacking, because suddenly everybody is into this, right? Also because of the pandemic, since everything is online, this is suddenly clicking more with the students, the whole understanding of content creation for digital space, etc. So the vision is very clear. It's always for the students, for the betterment and to create better thinkers. So keeping that in mind, we sort of keep changing the sort of ideas we have for the particular academic year.
Got it. So since USLM is such a young institute, so what are some of the plans that you're currently or will be designing for Karnavati University's international affairs and students?
So for international affairs, as I said, we are, of course, trying to tie up with students and a lot of other groups. So we are very clear. International affairs doesn't mean only tying up with universities. So we are also in the process of tying up with, they're very interesting little villages of artisans, in various parts of the world. So we stress a lot on things like good storytelling. We're trying to tie up with artists, performers. We're trying to tie up with groups of, storytellers, of authors, because we think it's very important for our students, while they need to meet other students, interact, understand how it is, how education is all over. But it's also important for them to understand these hands-on experiences of a good storytelling, or of, say, what is Chanderi? What does it mean? Right? So while my students are not students of design, but Chanderi as a product, as economy, Chanderi as lifestyle, Chanderi as online sale, I'm just giving an example name, is brilliant for them to understand the story of Chanderi or anything, So for us, we are looking also at tie-ups. We also push this thing called rural immersion. Unfortunately, again, because of the pandemic, things have gone for a toss. But this academic year, we were to send all our students for 1 month, pura ek mahina, of only going to the village. You fall ill, you get bitten, you get hurt, but come with a compilation of stories, So for us, any collaboration or any space is important in terms of making sure that the student learns something which is very, very different, because most students come from a certain comfort zone. And if you don't break that comfort zone for them, they will never be prepared for the industry or for the future. So we're hoping that things fall in line and things are fine again, and we can start with our rural immersion program. So we are proposing things like a program like this. We're also looking at innovative courses already done before, but we're trying to look at Ramayana, Mahabharata, and maybe other versions that people haven't heard about. Mm-hmm. So we also want to tell people that you don't need to think linear. Ramayana doesn't mean only one version of the Ramayana. There are so many. Let's listen to all. So we constantly integrate these very hands-on things with the uh, papers that we teach. So for us, international collaborations means, other than the regular ones, other than exchanges, other than the beauty of telling our students, oh my God, you're going to go to London, but also saying that, okay, great, you're going to go to this little village in Pondicherry and stay there for about a month, and understand why that village is doing so well economically. So we're trying to sort of mix everything, culture, exchange, to many other things that will be useful for them.
Like it said that nothing good has ever happened within your comfort zone, so you need to get out of that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Right. So, any which ways, now moving on, I'd like to ask: is there anything that you'd like to tell about Karnavati University that our viewers might not know?
Well, it's a beautiful campus. I think, first of all, people don't know about the fact that it's tucked in this lovely, quaint village called Uvarsadgam, and that place has a life of its own. So, Karnavati is, I think, for me, it's an amalgamation of stories, of people, of energies. There is this corner which is known as the ghost corner. There is this corner which has its history of, cows and horses. The village of Uvarsad, where I think for us, our strength has also been the local people around. We do a lot of work with them. Our first field work is always telling our students, go to Uvarsad village, talk to the Sarpanch, understand about women and health, education, etc. So for us, it's an entire ecosystem, that place. It's not just a university. For us, when we reach there at 9 a.m., it's like another life for us, till we are there with the students. And the place has everything, from the best of food to that open air, fresh breaths that I think all of us are dying to go right now back to. We have academic rigor, we have departments, we have so many departments, and I love the fact that our students are free to explore things in other departments, which means a lot of my students love doing pottery. So they go to the Institute of Design and are like, "Meko sikha do na," and so I enjoy that sort of flexibility and that exchange I see within our campus. Like a lot of our students love attending the debates that the law department has, the moot courts that they do. So they love to see them in that "Your Lord, my Lord," and this thing. So I also know a lot of random students just joining us when we are screaming in the middle of the campus doing our theatre activities. People just come. And also the fact that classrooms are open. There are many times when I'm teaching and I'm like, I haven't seen you. Who are you? And the person is like, I am in a final year of law and, I love listening to your classes. So I like the fact that there's no restriction. A student in law is allowed to sit in our classes, of course, at the cost of not bunking their own. But there's this whole open sort of environment about the university, absolutely, which I think is much needed because it allows you to think. It allows you to be a rebel. And I think college life mein agar aap rebel nahi karoge to kab karoge,
Absolutely.
So you must keep questioning. Rebel doesn't mean in the wrong sense. The problem is most people think rebel matlab galat hota hai, but exactly. I mean हर चीज में पूछो, सवाल पूछो, ये क्यों है ऐसा?
Correct.
That's something about Karnavati, which is a very open, beautiful space, both physically and I think in terms of opening up your brains, your mind. So that's something beautiful about that place. Yeah.
It's good to know about that. So, ma'am, without taking much of your time, I'd directly like to skip to the last part of the interview and request you to give a few advices and suggestions to the current youth as well as the aspiring students.
So I would never use it as an advice. The only thing I'd say is mere anubhav se. A quick few things is keep reading. Yeah, because people don't read anymore. And when I say reading, I don't mean only on your phones or laptops. I mean like read. It's a beautiful way to travel the world. And the other thing I would tell every youngster of today is life is not digital only. Please remember that. The reason why I'm saying the same is because when students come to us, we have to first make sure they learn how to connect and communicate. We teach journalism students, we teach ad PR. And the irony is these are people who are not able to even take an interview without intimidating people. So for us, we've realized that with the coming generation, having a very simple conversation is also a challenge. Without looking at your phone, People can have lovely conversations on WhatsApp, but the moment you put them face to face, exactly 6 minutes by the clock, and then they'll be like, what do I ask now? What do I say now? So I think the only advice I would give is there's a world out there, and you need to constantly stay connected with that as well, because that's the real world you're living in. There's sorrow, there's pain, there's happiness, there's so much. So step out whenever the environment allows you to. We are a generation, Haim, that has sat for 2-3 hours at the kitli, looking at people interact, not knowing, looking at fights. But I see that coming back to me when I try to understand certain cultures, when I try to understand certain questions, when I have to have a conversation with, say, a gang rape survivor, and that's what makes you a better reporter. You will never go to a gang rape survivor and ask her, "Kaisa lag raha hai aapko?" Or just immediately start by saying, "Kya hua tha, batao?" As opposed to when you sit, enjoy that silence, let the person open up, and then slowly, what are you doing?
Exactly.
You know how to sort of maneuver a conversation. So my deal with the young generation is, while they're brilliant with all the technology, if they combine that with the world outside by reading, by travel, by communication, because I think travel, reading, and good communication is a mantra that will see you through not just your academic career, but through personal life as well, through relationships as well. And that makes you a better person, a happier person, that is important.
Right. So thank you so much for that response. It was quite some good words and motivational words. I'm sure students, our audience, is going to find that interesting. On this note, I'd like to conclude the interview, ma'am. Thank you so much for your time. It was quite an interesting.
Thank you so much, Em.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Take care.
You too.